Hello, this is my $30 HITBOX controller, and I want to show you guys how I made it and do a little showcase on how it works with games. So this controller is really simple. There's not really like a gimmick or something really hard to do when you're building a controller. I just got like this case that I bought for really cheap on a local furniture store. And the case came with this nice wooden board that I just drilled to the perfect size of the buttons. So for the layout, I printed a HITBOX layout that I found online, and I had to go through the hustle of like going to paint.net and making like the in real life size for like printing on an A4 paper. So I'm gonna put this little document on the description, so it's easier for you guys if you wanna print it out. Basically, what I used was an Arduino board. It's like a proto board made by Ultra Arcade. So this is the board. It's actually a bank for the buck. It runs on a computer, PS4 and PS3, and it just uses the normal Arduino layout. As you can see, it just uses like normal jump cables. I don't know how I call it in English. And yeah, it was like very simple to assemble. I basically just put the cables on the right positions on the proto board. That it comes with like a little manual that shows like where to like jump, right, left, etc. And then I put the ground cable through all of the buttons, and that's basically it. There's not that much magic. And I found this nice case. Like the purpose of this was just being like a very nice cheap controller that I could put on my bag and stuff, just bring to like tourneys. And yeah, I don't know. I think it fulfilled the purpose pretty well. It just uses like a normal USB cable. It's very convenient, and I don't know. There's not too much into it. And I want to show you guys how it works on the games. Alright, so starting it off with Guilty Gear, which is currently my favorite game. I'll be playing my boy Axel, and as you can see, there's practically no input delay. Playing Axel on the HITBOX has been pretty fun so far. And I feel like this would just be tournament viable. I don't know. Seems like any other controller to me. Pretty fun to play here. Yeah, if you guys haven't played Guilty Gear yet, I'd definitely recommend it. It's a pretty fun game. So yeah, pretty happy with the results. As you can see, there's practically no input delay. This is like instant, which is pretty impressive for a $30 controller. Alright, let's get to some other games. Alright, so now Tekken, which I feel like is probably one of the best games to play with the HITBOX controller. Also one thing, the start button is not on the layout because it's usually like on the corners, and I just put it like on top of the attack buttons because I just felt like it would be more convenient here. So if you're gonna do this HITBOX controller based on the layout, don't forget the start button, which is pretty important. So alright, let's go to the final game. So for the final game, which is not really a fighting game, I felt like also it would just be the final boss of the input delay. It would just be the game that was gonna test if this controller is responsive or not. So I play Taiko on Osu, so I'm gonna try to get a song that's not gonna get me copyright strike. So yeah. So just to show how I configured it on Osu, I didn't really have to install any additional like program or anything. It just kind of recognized it automatically, and I just set it up as like joystick 3, joystick 2, just like these buttons here. So yeah. So in case you want to make a bank for the buck type of controller, regardless of if it is a HITBOX controller or a controller with a lever, it really doesn't matter. And you want to know which things did I use and which things you should use. So I did a little research and I talked to some people who also did it. And the board that I'm using is from Ultra Arcade, which was made in Brazil, which is where I am right now. It uses Arduino type of style that I showed you earlier. But in case you're also considering buying boards that aren't necessarily as expensive as like Brook boards that can be like $60, $90, I paid around $15 to $20 on my board, and it works as fine as you just saw earlier. But in case you want to buy one that isn't necessarily as expensive as like a Brook board or whatever, just be careful to not buy those that have a 0 delay on their names. It's usually like, oh, 0 delay, and it's like super cheap and it looks kind of scuffed. Or like these Raspberry Pi boards, because they aren't really meant for competitive gaming. They're more meant for like casual arcade, for like people who just want to like build a little arcade to play like Pac-Man or whatever. So like don't really go for these boards. But I'm pretty sure you're gonna be able to find lots of options out there. And for the buttons, I use generic Sama buttons. They're not the original ones, which can be a bit more expensive, but they work just as well for me. Just be careful to not buy buttons from like brands from like Aiger or like some like more scuffed brands or whatever. I would definitely recommend going for generic Sama buttons if you want to go for a bang for the buck here. Also, something cool for making like a budget arcade stick like this is that if you end up really liking it and you have some more money and you want to improve it, you can always improve it. For an example, I am planning to buy the gamer finger buttons, which are like $6 each, or they're like mechanical and all, they're super cool. But I plan to do that slowly down the line, and I think that's something like really cool from just starting off from something from a budget and then just going a bit more expensive slowly. I think it's a fun process for me at least. So yeah, just like I said earlier in the video, I'll be leaving the hitbox layout in the description. Don't forget the start button. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And see you later.